Hi friends, we would like you to subscribe and also press the bell icon so that you'll get the notifications from YouTube.
Welcome back to Fountainhead Veda channel. I welcome Swami Mitrananda ji.
Namaskaram. There was a time when we said this should be taught only in Sanskrit. Another time we said, come on, now you can teach in every language. The rishis and all the masters who came of the recent times are talking in different languages.
Right.
So you see, these changes are allowed because these changes are made at Smriti level, not Shruti level.
Right.
Shruti is one Upanishad, one divine, the entire universe is one divine, everybody is nothing but a divine, we are one family, all this is Shruti, that you cannot alter. Smriti can change. Smriti can change time to time. The masters who come at each time will change the Smriti, saying this is applicable today, so let's follow this. So we had also in Smriti level changes were made. Different practices we had, child marriage, we changed it. Women education, we changed it. You understand, widow remarriages, we changed it. These are Smriti, not Shruti. Shruti will not even talk about all this. It is too mundane, too insignificant for Shruti to even comment.
Yep.
See, even for the rishis of enlightened person anywhere in the world, even nation becomes nonsense.
Absolutely.
Because how can he see one nation and two separate? In his vision, the whole world is one. So, what is the Lord you are worshipping? Vishwanatha. Vishwa, universe, Lord of the universe. Jagannatha, Lord of the Jagat. He can't limit to one country, one religion, because it's too insignificant. Because from the height of that vision. So, Shruti stays there. Smriti will change time to time will change. So, this clarity also has to come. For all this to happen, I think the more or better we get into the curriculum, because outside the schools, people are not going to go and learn.
Right.
Because to learn another language, we're finding it hard.
Correct.
So, we have difficulties. I mean, it's practical. How many languages you can go on learning? When you're not inclined to learn languages, because not everybody is inclined to learn languages. Certain languages we pick up naturally because we keep hearing it.
Right.
And certain languages which we are born with, we speak at home, we learn. So, to pick up 4 or 5 languages, for some people could be very, very hard.
Easy.
For some people it could be easy. So, outside your school curriculum, how will you go and learn this? So, this idea has to come inside the school curriculum only.
In that only I had one question.
In that only people will oppose, we should still go ahead and do it.
In that only, what I was thinking was like Veda or Vedanta itself is very, very high level of learning as there is a perception. And second thing is Veda and Vedanta all are in Sanskrit. Now that Sanskrit to common language of that particular language to travel and reach people. It's going to be a huge exercise, right?
No. Vedantic thinking, thoughts, Vedantic thoughts, if you say, as Vedantic, or I won't even call Vedantic thoughts.
Okay.
I will say sublime thoughts, because Vedanta becomes a label.
Right.
Sublime thoughts, Tamil literature. What about the sublime thoughts available in Tamil literature?
Right.
Thirunyana Sambandar, what was his thoughts?
Right.
Sublime.
Right.
Thirumandiram, the book, is absolutely sublime. Tirukural, sublime.
Right.
You see, sublime thinking is not only in Sanskrit.
No, I understood.
You understand, sublime thinking is in Tamil.
Right.
So that way, if you see, sublime thinking would be there in
all languages.
But these books are very beautifully documented in Tamil.
Correct.
Tirumandiram,
Perfect.
Tirupavai, Tirukural is well documented. Same way, Vedantic ideas, sublime thoughts are well documented in Sanskrit.
Yeah, that is where I am coming to.
So, the importance here is, should I teach Bhagavad Gita or should I teach sublime thinking which is there in that language? The curriculum should include that.
Okay.
You understand?
Fantastic.
That's why the new education policy is coming.
Lovely.
So, then there won't be resistance.
Right.
So here, this language phonetics will move away.
Right.
Language phonetics are very basic level of humans, you understand. So they need to understand the best of that language. Sublime thoughts have to be brought in.
Right.
Today you don't even bring that. Teaching a Tirukural here and there is not the way of Tirukural. Tirukural way of life should be brought into schools.
Absolutely.
So the new education policy should include it that way.
Right.
So it is not Sanskrit. Of course, the heritage in Sanskrit is so vast and wide, just like the heritage in Tamil
Correct.
is vast. So the sublime thinking,
Fantastic.
in whichever language it is there, has to be retained.
Right.
But definitely, in my understanding of sublime thoughts are definitely deep in Tamil and in Sanskrit, than any other language,
Right.
of my limited understanding.
Sure.
So the sublime thoughts have to be brought into curriculum. That only will transform me.
Yeah.
So that has to be brought in. So where it is acceptable as Bhagavad Gita, go ahead. Where it has to be Tirukural, let's do it Tirukural, but it has to be intense. Then the person changes.
Right.
That transformation has to come. So we have to bring in education which can be transformative, and these are not very high, because the rishis can teach children, and the rishis can teach the highest.
That's what you are talking of, primitive to
aged children. You mean to say Gurukula? What, they only aged people went or what? Gurukula children only joined. So we have a beautiful method of teaching the child,
Right.
and also teaching as you evolve to a different level.
Right.
So it's a nice curriculum what we have followed for years.
Just to be broad-minded.
Please remember, we were the first to have universities in the world.
Right.
2000 years ago.
Right.
Even before Gautam Buddha, we had universities.
Right.
So we had universities in this world, in almost all parts of India.
Right.
Takshashila in the north, Nalanda in the central, Kanchi in the south,
Right.
Vallabha, Vikramashila. We had universities, so our education was inclusive.
Right.
So we are trying to bring that curriculum only which is inclusive. When we had that inclusive education, sacred and spiritual together, we were the superpower in the world. We were the done. The sea trade which has happened through us. This is all Vishwaguru only.
Yeah.
We were the ones to travel across the high seas.
Right.
And today you have the statistics very clear that even in the 10th century, the GDP of India was 32%. Everybody came to India, right? Because it was the land they were seeking.
Yeah, I understand.
So this inclusive education gave prosperity, gave universal vision, and people were looking up to us and we were teaching. No nation had universities 2000 years ago. We had. This is a fact.
Right.
Europe never had universities. So these are something which we should understand. So our curriculum was naturally. So university means someone who goes to kindergarten to highest level was accommodated at different levels.
Right.
We had the system of education that way. Even today we have. So we know what to talk to a kindergarten child.
Right.
We have to only tell them stories because that's where they pick up a value. And when the child grows a little more, we bring in a little more philosophy inside, slowly. And then as the child grows into a thinker, then the highest level of knowledge is imparted. So there is a method of imparting. Our systems was that.
Fantastic. So now, as I requested you, Swamiji, like you brought fantastically from Bhagavad Gita to the 4 stages of, when one fellow is going on looking at selfishness also, there is a teaching in Bhagavad Gita. So I wanted to know for the corporates or the young executives, they may be joining that first one, selfish, wants to acquire everything. Then from then on he moves to learning.
See, basically how you improve yourself depends upon what kind of a sadhana you take.
Right.
It need not be branded like what we brand today. If a person takes up, let us say, good physical exercise, manages time well,
Right.
goes for a morning walk,
Right.
Does yoga,
Right.
let's say keeps the body fit,
Right.
keeps control on diet,
Right.
like whatever skills are required, he focuses on it.
Right.
That person will do well.
Fantastic.
You understand?
Yeah.
But for all this, there's a discipline required.
Right.
The discipline is what the religion says. Get up in the morning, do this, do that. What you're doing, without calling it a religion, you continue to do, but you're following. This is what has been told.
Right.
So without recognizing it, you're practicing.
Right.
Fine. But then you may call it new values, etc. It may serve, but eventually, in seeking, a person has to come to inner journey.
Right. Energy.
Because after sometimes you're tired of the world, you need to turn within. That time, that general what you learned, to be fit and all that will not help you. That time only this knowledge will make you look within and see yourself.
Right.
So this resistance is unnecessary. They should understand this is the best way of life and pick it up and start doing it.
You very beautifully said when you really love something, you start performing very well. That's what you said. Like, so that learning itself will come over a period of trial.
So in the corporate world, people have to understand you must be in the best of your mind. Your present education doesn't teach you that at all.
Right.
Has your education ever taught you how to handle anger?
Yeah. No.
Is there a subject from kindergarten to university when you studied? How to handle emotions?
Right.
Is there a lesson taught to everybody? No. Somebody who picks up a psychology subject or something may learn
that's
something.
it.
So something basic, I get angry and nobody teaches me how to handle anger.
Right.
If my parents at home teach me, fine. Otherwise, I don't know it. The schools have not taught me. How to handle guilt? Has anybody taught me? How to handle? No. The moral story says don't do this, don't do that, but nobody teaches how do I get out of something which I'm born in. So that education is not doing it. So we have to understand, for me to do well, my mind should be fit. Today the Gita gives you beautiful lessons
that's
on the
where I
mind.
want to
The Gita
learn.
gives you beautiful lessons on keeping the mind fit, keeping the mind stronger.
How, where that's what I want to probably, or
No,
viewers
see,
will
if
understand.
you're asking,
Yeah.
picking up any words will help.
Okay.
Any words.
Anyways.
Words would help, but on specific questions, if you are asking like things,
So you said anger, focus, and
there are verses. There are
verses,
verses.
yes.
There are verses teaching you how to handle anger.
Oh, okay.
There are verses teaching you how to concentrate. It's there, detail. I would like you to, suppose you have a question, who is God?
Okay.
He says, chapter 9, verse 17. We'll explain that. What is God's nature? Chapter 4, verse 6. Index is made. Okay.
Okay.
What is God's function? What are God manifestation about God? How does confusion affect us? If that is a relevant corporate question.
Right.
Confusion affect us. He says chapter 1 verse 7. Chapter 1 verse 29. Chapter 7 verse 27. It goes like, what does delusion do to us? How does desire destroy us? Chapter 16 verse 21. It is classified already.
Fantastic.
Okay. Signs of spiritual growth, chapter 17, verse 14, 15, 16. Signs of spiritual fall, chapter 14, verse 8 and 13. If you go like this, relationship with God and all that, and then it comes further. How do we console the bereaved? If there's a death in the family, how do we console? These are the verses meant for it. Chapter 2, verse 27, chapter 6, verse 40. If you go, how do we help the disappointed, despondent? How do we help? Bhagavad Gita can help. He says, chapter 13, verse 8, you have complete index. Okay. So if you go like that, guidance to politicians, guidance to businessmen, guidance to teenagers, grand vision of the universe, right action, increase efficiency, inner peace, concentration, usefulness to others, joy to oneself, object of meditation, preparation for meditation, reward of meditation, mind in meditation. If you go with this index, you have, here Swami Chinmayananda has classified them into 51 topics. Right food, right speech, which Gita has covered.
Fantastic.
So
this has not come into our education at all. That is the pathetic.
So they would get it, and we need people who will explain them correctly.
That is what I am saying. It has
So
to.
that we need, see, both. Once it is in the curriculum, if there is a demand for a teacher who can teach Bhagavad Gita, then the good teachers in Bhagavad Gita will come.
It's like any new software, no? Then people get trained on software, then teachers
they will come. So, for your questions, what you have been asking, you go through this index.
Okay, sure.
This index has a complete detail, which will show you what this kind of a book, what are the topics covered in this book. Though each topic is not the theme of the book.
Right.
You are asking because today you feel that is the important. Okay, I make corporate people, I pick up 3 verses and tell them to become efficient. Matter solved now. You'll have some other problem.
Okay.
After some point of time, you would like to turn within.
Yeah, sure.
So it should be a complete guide.
Okay.
Not to a issue, solving a particular issue and leaving him out there
Yeah.
to handle other issues. No.
Right.
It should be a complete guide. The complete guide would be like you go live there efficiently, happily, dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Come to moksha, then it is complete.
Right.
Or it's just like I want to teach me how to develop more artha. Is one part. We won't focus on that.
Right.
So this is a complete, all inclusive.
Fantastic.
That's how these books are written. All the books are written because that's not the main theme.
Right.
Because we never gave importance to it, except books like which is a fantastic books like Arthashastra, etc. dealt with economics. That is by Chanakya.
Okay.
The Vedic rishis didn't pick up only economy.
Right.
They looked at you holistically.
Right.
What all will help you complete? That is there.
So these Upanishads and Vedas and all that. So those meanings also are going to come in the education. You think?
I tell you, Veda means knowledge.
Right. Knowledge.
Okay. Vyasa classified it as four.
Four. Yeah.
He's the one who did it as Rig, Yajur, Sama, Atharvana.
Right.
Otherwise it was Veda, which was verbal. The last portion of Vedas are called Upanishads.
I say.
So Upanishads are not separate from
Separate
Vedas.
from them.
The last portion of Vedas is called Upanishads. Ved Ant. Ant.
Yeah. And,
So the Upanishadic knowledge is called Vedanta.
oh, I see. Okay.
Okay.
Fantastic.
So Vedas have mantra, brahmana, aranyaka, Upanishads. That's how it is there. So early part of the Vedas speak about grandeur of nature, all that. That's the basic dominating topic in the beginning part of the Veda. Then comes the rituals, karma kanda, etc., brahmana portion. Then comes the people who dwell in the forest, aranyakas. In that Upanishad comes. So Upanishads are in the Vedas. The last portion of Vedas are Upanishads. So Veda, Ant is end. Vedanta is the end portion of Vedas. It's called Vedanta, another name for Upanishads.
Right, fantastic.
Okay. Now Bhagavad Gita is not in the Vedas.
Okay.
Bhagavad Gita is from Mahabharata, written
Right.
by Vyasa.
Right.
Mahabharata has 1 lakh verses. In that Vyasa has written, Vyasa has written Mahabharata. Vyasa compiled Vedas. Vyasa did not write Vedas.
Compile.
Vyasa wrote Mahabharata.
Right.
It is his own original work. In that 700 verses are the Bhagavad Gita, dialogue between Krishna and Arjuna. Okay. So what is the crux of the Bhagavad Gita is the crux of Bhagavad Gita is Vedanta.
Oh.
Vedanta, which is the end portion of the Vedas, that is beautifully brought out
Okay.
in Bhagavad Gita. So for me to go and study each Veda and collect it,
Instead of that, one can
Bhagavad
focus.
Gita will be easy for you to
Fantastic.
read, to understand Vedanta.
That's
So that's why in Gita Dhyanam, it is so beautifully said, Sarvopanishado Gavaha, Dukta Gopalanandanaha. Sarva Upanishad is Gava, is the cow. And Krishna milked that cow, Gopalanandana, and gave that milk to Arjuna. So instead of going and searching a wild forest of books called Vedas, huge, the best what is required, the gist of the Upanishads are there in the Holy Gita.
Fantastic. That's lovely.
So if we read the Gita, you get the gist of the Upanishads. Once you're very thorough with Gita, you're happy, then you want to try and test the original, then go to Upanishads.
Okay.
Don't go to Upanishads because Gita makes a beautiful foundation
Fantastic.
to go to the Upanishad.
That's lovely, great summing up, Swamiji.
Yeah.
Thanks for your time, and it has been, revelation. 100% revelation in the sense, like, to sum up, or the initial, you brought us to levels of a common man, from a guy who is just being selfish, somewhere from then he starts understanding his service is God. And then he gets into japa, then he gets into meditation. That itself is
So even in the corporate world, since you were asking, the third one which I said, dedicating your work.
Yeah.
If the corporate man feels this is the world God has provided me, my office, my work area, I do it with prayer. Will his efficiency not go
That's
up?
what you said. Lovely. Fantastic.
So they come inside.
Yeah.
And your mind has to be definitely, and you need strength not to be stressed out.
Right.
When the mind is calm, you're stronger. So japa helps you
Yeah,
to
absolutely.
look at the world as a game.
Yeah,
You're lost today. You feel the world is too mighty and you're too young.
right,
Even a situation becomes problematic.
right.
When you are doing japa, you will be in a position to look at a problem as a situation.
Right.
So they come in. I mean, it's
Yeah,
applicable
absolutely.
everywhere.
That's what I'm
Right.
saying. Like, it's a great time you have given us,
Okay.
Swamiji. And we will definitely come back to you if you have more questions. Thank
Sure,
you very
sure.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi friends, we would like you to subscribe and also press the bell icon so that you'll get the notifications from YouTube.